Hello fellow readers, today I'm continuing my light novel journey with Attack on Titan Before the Fall. Now this was written by Ryo Suzukaze. He is not the original writer who created Attack on Titan. This is a work that he's created separate from that. Now if you're not familiar with Attack on Titan, it's this pretty uber popular anime and manga series. It focuses on humanity who is now retreated to a massive area that is protected by walls because on the outside of the walls are man-eating monsters called Titans. If you're familiar at all with Attack on Titan, the manga or the anime, this novel takes place 75 years before that particular story. Now, if you don't know anything about Attack on Titan, one of the things that I will say about this book is that it is actually quite accessible. You really don't need to bring a lot of knowledge about the other story to this one to actually get it. In many ways, this novel stands on its own 2 feet, which I really enjoyed. And while it certainly fleshes out the world of Attack on Titan and gives people familiar with the other series insight into how humanity gained certain knowledge and certain tools, you really don't need to know any of those things when you come into this novel. The novel focuses on main character Angel, who is actually a prodigal craftsman, which was kind of cool because we observed the Titans and humanity through the eyes of just an average worker. And that's very different from the viewpoint of the anime, which focuses on a bunch of kids who are military recruits and eventually are inducted into the military. In this particular case, the novel follows Angel's increasing obsession with trying to prove that Titans can be killed and also to develop equipment that will allow soldiers to do just that. Mainly the novel is driven by politics, which sounds kind of dry, but it really does kind of work. It's basically setting up that there are 2 sets of people in the government. The ones who say humanity should continue to venture outside of the walls and try to figure out a way that we can expand and live outside the walls. And this other faction that is, you know what, the Titans are invulnerable, they can't be killed. Let's just seal up the gates and no one ever step foot out again. The danger, of course, is that those who feel that they should go outside the walls are afraid that with humanity being trapped in this sort of stagnant space, that humanity will eventually just wither away because really how much can that support? So the different ideologies as the factions, some of the actual terrorist actions that are taking place in the novel, there's a lot of things that really drive the book forward. And I felt it pretty engaging. Now, it's told in the 3rd person, so we can sort of flip-flop between points of views, but mainly we stick with Angel. The writing is really serviceable. Now, I wouldn't say it's stellar. There's not passages in it that you'll probably reread over and over and over again. But there's some really good descriptive language, particularly dealing with Angel's experience with the Titans. And when we first sort of have an interaction with the Titans, it's really painted quite well. In some ways, that actually made me wish I didn't know as much I do about Attack on Titan when I read this book. Because there were some scenes in it that I thought, if I didn't already know what Titans were, what they looked like, and what other events are going to happen, this scene would have been really impactful. I mean, it still was, but in a way I thought, oh, you know, coming into this blind, having absolutely zero idea of what I was about to read, would have made this scene and stuff really, really hit. And in a lot of ways would explain, like, you would get that idea of why Angel's being driven the way that he is. The book is horribly predictable, I will say that. I mean, if anybody who dies in it surprises you, well, I guess it surprised you, but none of it really surprised me. It was like a paint by numbers. Oh, yep, they said that, they're dead. They said that, they'll survive. I mean, it was fairly straight ahead. So not very surprising, not a lot of real plot twists, a very straight ahead sort of origin story about how humanity and the ingenuity of humanity comes up with a new idea to try and stay alive. I would especially recommend this novel to people that have seen Attack on Titan or have read the manga. It's a great companion piece, and like I said, presents the whole world of Attack on Titan from a slightly different perspective, which I found really enjoyable. If you're not at all interested in Attack on Titan, or you have no idea what Attack on Titan is, I can see you still enjoying this book, but there will be things that you'll question, and there will be things that you'll be sort of like, why is that happening? About the only real downfall in this book is the timeline. See, when the book starts, humanity has been hiding behind these walls for 25 years. Now, everybody seems to have no idea what the outside world is like, and all the average citizens really have no idea what the Titans are like. And Angel, being 19 in this particular novel, well, of course, he's born behind the walls, so he has absolutely no idea what Titans even look like. He's only heard sort of whisperings. And it's kind of weird because you sit there going like, yeah, there's got to be people in this city that are older than 30, 35, 40 who would have been old enough before they came behind the walls that they would remember what the outside world was like. They would remember some of the stuff that was out there. And yet, no one really seems to do that, and no one seems to question it. And even Angel never questions, like, why can't I find somebody who can tell me anything other than the obvious? Like, his boss is supposedly old, and yet Angel doesn't seem to think, oh, I should ask him, like, hey, you were probably 10 when we came behind the walls, what do you remember? Without getting into major spoilers, there is some explanation to this, but it's not covered in this book. And that may be one of the things that, if you're not familiar with Attack on Titan, may infuriate you a little bit, and you'll be kind of like, this makes no sense in terms of the timeline that they're laying out. But just trust me, if you really, really, really like this book, if you decide to read it and you've never read the manga or watched the anime, seek out those other sources, particularly the manga, because it's gone a lot further, and there's much more of an explanation about how this world functions and why it functions the way it does. So that's my review on Attack on Titan Before the Fall. It's pretty cool. Check it out, especially if you're an Attack on Titan fan. I'm sure you'll get something out of it. I certainly enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you'll check out some of my other vids as well as ones that I post in the future. Until then, I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.